Hello, hello. How is everyone tonight? I left my glue open and you know how that goes. So tonight I thought I would bring out the awesome Queen of Hearts. Hi Irene, we're going to play with the Queen of Hearts tonight, hence the heart, heart, heart in the description. That was your little clue. Sometimes I leave a little clue to say kind of what we're doing tonight based on the description of this video. And tonight we are going to use the Queen of Hearts, the little card, and we're going to use the rose from the Enchanting Tale. So we're going to kind of mix a little bit tonight to get us a new idea on our card. So I am very excited about our design tonight. So hi, you love her so much. Well, we're going to color her tonight. I did not have time to cut her out, but we are going to cut her out after I color her. So I need to grab my Misty so we can stamp her up. Hello, Barbara. Hey, everybody. I am so glad you guys stopped by to hang out. Don't forget, we're going to have a sneak peek of some of the new release on tomorrow night. I will be posting the time. It'll be sometime around, 6 o'clock or something like that. Hello, Christina. Hello, Beth. Hello, hello. I'm so happy to see you guys. So keep that in mind. The page, it'll pop up on the page. But if you miss it, we are doing a new release kickoff on the Happy Crafty Ho Ho channel tomorrow night. It'll be kind of late night, so make sure you're on the notifications. I'll also post in the group the time for that if you want to come watch. I'm not exactly sure what all we're going to do, but I know we're going to have a good time. So we always have a good time over there. We're the late night crafters. Not really good to put your stamp down on something that's not hard when you're trying to... There we go. All right. So I have her done. You're so excited for the new release. It is going to be amazing. There's been some sneak peeks going on. Dale's been doing some. I don't know, honey. Dale's been putting some little sneaks out there for you guys to give you some ideas. Anybody see the video today to give you a little tip on what's coming? Hopefully you saw that cute little video he made. All right. So we needed to get her stamped because we got to get her colored up. And I want to give her just a second to dry because I re-inked my Memento ink pad, and I hate when I do that because it just never seems to work right after I do that. And I always end up getting frustrated and buying a new one. So hopefully I'm going to be able to deal with that, but I had to double stamp it. I just feel like after I ink it up and put more ink in there, I just feel like it gets fuzzy and it just doesn't come out the way that I want it to. So that's kind of frustrating to me. So we're going to use this rose because you know that the Queen of Hearts, she has painting her roses red, her white roses red. So I'm going to give it a go on doing that with this rose. Don't know how it's going to come out. Never tried it before, so hopefully it rolls along just fine. But you know how I like to try new stuff when I come on these videos with you guys? because I know you'll be okay with it no matter how it comes out. You know, we can always stamp a different piece of paper or cut a pattern piece of paper or, you know, something. So tonight we're going to use this paper pad, and we're going to use the one with the roses and the trees and the one with the card suits on it. So we're going to use that tonight. Gotta try the Lisa Horton Cloud 9 solid black detail. It's so fab. I know, I do. I need to get out there. It's on, I have a list actually, and that is on the top of my list. I just haven't had a chance to go out there and take care of that yet. But I definitely want to. Now, I'm also going to do a few of these cards. We'll color these cards. I'm excited about trying a different ink pad because I just end up buying another Memento, and it's one after the other, and I just get frustrated. See, like, that's going to be way too inked up. When I get a new ink pad, it always does, it's not when I get a new one. The new ones are great, but see how it's just smearing all my stuff. So I end up going back to an older Memento one I had where it's had like a month or two to sit there and soak up its re-inker, and it sometimes will act a little bit better. I don't know. But I've stamped this before and it comes out perfectly clear. It's because I re-inked that pad that it looks so bad. And I don't like that. It makes me unhappy. So we're going to stamp a few more of these. We won't be using all of them. But you can see how much lighter this one is than that one. I wanted it to be darker, have more ink on it, but I guess I could do it. Nah, we're just going to roll with it. I could do it on the Misty and then I could double stamp, but I'm just going to roll with it like this. I got some tricks to make them look good, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to do one more, maybe two more, so I have odd numbers. I don't know how many I want to use on the cards, so I'm just going to throw them out there. They won't take that long to color, so I just want to have enough. I won't use the top two, but we'll probably do the other ones. We can color them at the same time, so we're all good. Hey, Cheryl. Happy to see you here. We are going to color up this set of stuff. It's actually two sets. This is from the fairy tale, and this is from the Down the Rabbit Hole, or maybe it's the other one. You know, it is Down the Rabbit Hole, and this one is Enchanting Tale. So that's what we're going to use tonight. I'm really excited about how this is going to come out. I'm going to try and do her a bit different than like on the packaging and stuff. I still want to go with red, but I'm going to do it just a little bit different. So I'm going to zoom in. Hi, Tamara. So we're combining stamps tonight for those who are popping in, and we're going to build a gatefold type card. I think I may have done this once before on the page, but I can't remember. You know, you have, when you do so many videos, you can't remember if you ever showed it or not. But just in case, it's a good refresher if nobody tried it and now they'd like to try it. So here we go, on a roll. So I think I'm going to do her with a light skin tone tonight. You know how I like to switch it up on everybody. So light skin tone tonight. So instead of using E04, we're going to use RV95 for our dark shadow color. So here are all the ones we're going to use. Oh, yay. I'm so glad she got it. This is E000. And then we're going to do E00. and E11, E13. RV95 will be our darkest color, and R12 will be her cheeks. I'm so glad she liked it. I know, I'm going to pop over there when I'm done here, but I'm going to do this one first. I could put gloves on her, or I could just do her hands in this color, in this skin tone color. And I think tonight she's going to have no gloves tonight, just skin tone color here. And then her neck is showing. She has a little heart necklace on right there. And then her face will need to be colored up tonight. Maybe if we're doing light skin tone, we'll add a little bit of makeup to her. Give her a little bit of blush and a little bit of eyeshadow and really make her kind of stand out. A little bit more than I usually do. Oh, and don't forget, she has one little ear showing over here. That one's not, but that one is. All right, so then we're going to go straight into our shadow color, which is RV95. And I'm going to start down here with the hands. And then along this part. This little hand is very small, and you can't see a whole lot because it's wrapped around that, that little, whatever you call that she has there. But she will have shadow under her chin. They always do. I love this girl. I had so much fun drawing her. She's one of my faves. I really love how she turned out. Like learning how to do makeup with markers. Yes, I know. And you know, I'll tell you that makeup with markers took me a long time to be brave enough to do makeup with markers, because sometimes I would do it and then it would be so dark and just didn't blend well, and I struggled with it for a little while. I was a little afraid of it, but now I feel pretty comfortable doing it now. Holy cow, these slippery little suckers. I'm just going to put a little bit of this shadow. I want to keep her really light tones, so I'm not going to put too much. But we do need to soften it from the RV95 to the lighter colors we're going to use. It's been a busy week. How about everyone else? How have you guys been doing? Have you guys had a lot of work going on or fun going on? I've been live every night this week. If you didn't see me in my group, I was in someone else's. I'm going to go ahead now and add the RV12 because it's a little bit darker than what I usually add for cheeks. I usually go with R11, but I want them to show up a little more, so we're going to add them twice probably. I was on Card Chaos, that you can watch the replay on YouTube. I was on there on Monday night. I didn't make it in 15 minutes, but I didn't have to cry because I wasn't too far off. It was fun. I had a great time. Hopefully we'll do it again. And if you guys don't know what that is, go check it out. Card Chaos. The link is on the page a little bit further down. Last night I was on with Happy Crafty Ho Ho. So you can find that link in the group a little bit in one of the posts I did last night. And I will be on her channel for the new release on Saturday. So yes, I have been busy. I'm just out there playing around with everybody. I just wanted to, have a chance to move around and get to know all kinds of new people and bring new people to you guys, and it'll just be fun. You're going to a hoity-toity ladies' luncheon Saturday. You made super pretty nameplates for the tables yesterday. Oh, I bet you did. I bet you made gorgeous ones. You should share it in our group. You know you can do that. People don't, they hesitate to share if it's not a ledouxdesigns product, but we don't have that rule. You can share whatever you create. I mean, there's enough space in the world for all the craft companies. So if you make something and you're proud of it and you want to share it, you can share it in our group. No problem. So share it and show us. I'm going to go back in with my R12 again because, like I said, I want her cheeks to show up just more than I normally do, especially if we're going to put eye makeup on her. And then once I have that in there, I'm going to go back with the E00 and just kind of soften where the cheek color stops and meets the face color, if you will. And just soften those edges because we don't want it to look like she doesn't know how to put on her makeup. You know, that would be frustrating. All right, now once I decide what color we're going to do on her hair and dress and stuff, then we'll do the eyeshadow. So notice I left it lighter above her eyebrows because I want to add eyeshadow later. Same goes for Irene's group. It's okay to share affiliate link. Yay! And Susie, you've been busy, fussy cutting and layering pretty papers. That sounds intriguing. Okay. So we definitely want her in red. And we need some black because we're going to be using these papers. The paper that has the white roses and red roses, and we're also going to be using these. So I think I still want to stick with red and black for her, but I want to do something unique. So we're going to, I know on the packaging I had red hair. See the red hair? I gave her red hair on the packaging, and I think I want to do red hair again. But I think what I'm going to do is instead of using the C markers like I normally do for black, I think we'll use a different one. I don't want to use W. So maybe we'll use, let's try the N's tonight. We'll use the N's instead of the C's. But if you don't have N's and you want to color along, you can use the C's as well. So that, I mean, it'll work. It'll just look slightly different. But remember when we did a test with these colors, it seemed like the N was darker than the C. And I really want this to be a little darker. So we're going to use N10, N8, N7, N6. And then for red, I usually pick, you know, the R46 and, you know, the 24. But I think tonight we're going to switch it up. And I'm going to use more of the R39 colors, 37, R35. That's only 3 colors. I'm going to try to stick with that, but if I need R32, I'll bring that in. But I think I'm going to do 39, 37, and 35. These are a little bit more of a pinky red versus a fire engine red. So we're going to try that instead. And stick around because when we do the flower, I'm going to try to do the flower with part of it being white and part of it being red, like they're painting it red. So, you know, because painting the rose is red. That's how it went, remember? Hey, Tamara. Thank you. I do love her. She makes me happy. And then her crown, I think that we'll make that light colored like a silver instead of a gold. So I think we want to do that first so we don't pull any of that color into our picture. So I'm going to pull in 4, 2, and 0 as well, staying with the same color family. And we'll do that part first. And maybe we'll do a little bit more on her outfit in this color as well. Give her a little bit of gray to go with her black. So I'm going to start off by doing the darkest color on the bottom of her crown, and then each little spot where I put the artist drawn lines on it, I'm going to emphasize those with this N4. It'll just give it a little bit more definition when we get done coloring it. So we're going to do that. And then I think what I want to do is add a little bit of gray down here within her outfit. So I think I'm going to choose to do that right here in this center part of her dress. And then we'll follow that down here on this part. So underneath this her little stick she has there, I don't know what you officially call that. Dale usually chimes in when I call it something wrong, but he's pretty busy right now, so a scepter. See, I knew he would tell me what it was. And since we're doing this crown gray, I'm going to do this one the same. So I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom right there for now. I don't know what else on there I might make this color, but for now, those are the things I've chosen right away to be light gray. So we're going to move to N2. And we're just going to spread a little bit further from where we stopped on the last color. I'm going to cover around the outside with this one. So at the bottom and at the top and around the edges. And we'll just leave a little bit left for the last color. This one I'm going to go up and leave the tips for the lightest color. And then this part, we're just going to go around the edges, leave the center line for a light color. And you guys, if you watch me, you know why I'm doing the light grays first, because if I put some big bright red in these hearts and then touch it with this gray marker, I'm going to drag that red ink into my gray, and I don't want to do that, so I have to be really careful with that. I've decided one more spot that I want to make gray that I didn't do yet, so I'm going to go back to this N4 before I finish out the other parts, and that is these extended sleeves right here. I'd like to keep those lighter, like with this lighter gray, rather than making them really dark. And the parts around her wrist, I probably want them just a little bit darker. So we're going to add that. And then I'm going to go back to the N2 and extend on these wrists. I'll finish off the little piece that's closest to her hand. And then I'll just blend out. And now we can go to our last color, which is N0. And that's where we're going to just blend them together. So I'm just going to do that by doing an up and down motion, because that will push the ink up and down so that it keeps the dark parts where I want them and lightens the center area. So yes, there's a method to my madness. Now this one, I don't want to drag that dark, so I'm going to start from the tips and I'm going to go into the dark area. And that'll keep that a little bit lighter. But I'm going to do the same up and down right here and on the sleeves. Just kind of keeps the lightest part in the center. And then down here, I'm just going to blend them nicely and carefully so that I don't get any splotchy areas. Because you know that if I were to go over this and over this and over this, the fact that this N0 has a ton of colorless blender and only a little bit of pigment, it will fade out those other colors I put on there. So I want to be a little careful when I'm doing that unless it's intentional. Hey, Beth's back. Irene's back. Are you guys getting kicked off? I hope not. All right. Now what we're going to do is for her outfit, we're going to do some in black and some in red. But for her hair, we're going to do it black and red. So I'm going to start off with the darkest black in her hair, which is N10. And I'm going to start building in the strands of hair. So I like to start with where the artist drawn lines are. And then around her face, because we're going to want her makeup and stuff to stand out. So the darker on her face, on her hair closest to her face, the better. Up underneath this crown, I want that really dark, so I went ahead and just colored that whole line right there. You don't want to do too much because it's hard to wash out some of the black once you get it in there. So make sure you keep your lines nice and thin and not too many of them. We can always go back and add more in if we want. So don't think you have to do all of it right away. So I'm just adding a little bit here and a little bit there. And then over here, because her little scepter is there, it's going to cast a shadow into her hair. So I'm just going to do all along where that scepter is. There we go, a little bit here. And then right along her face. I want to get that going. There we go. Now we have some good, intense black color in there. So this space right here looks really big with no color in it. So what I'm going to do is just extend a few of these just a tad bit further. So I don't have a huge space that doesn't have any color in it. All right, next I'm going to move on to N8. I know you would think I would go with red next, but I'm not going to. Just bear with me. N8 is next, and I'm going to try to do that kind of in between, and you'll notice that I'm trying to do it with like one even motion. So I try not to touch the paper too much with this because I'm really just building strands of hair. Because I'm going to kind of cover up some of this with red anyway. But I want to get that little bit of a base coat in there before I go in with the reds. Okay. So that's pretty good. You can see the strands of hair. And now we're going to try to start putting a little bit of color in there. Now I want this red to be a deep red. So I am going to start with the R39. And I'm going to keep this pretty close to where the darkest part of her hair would be, which is her part underneath her crown. And then the other side of her part. And it's not a blending, it's just a flicking motion or a brush stroke motion, whichever you want to call that. And then underneath here where her hair is overlapped, we need a little bit of that deep red down here. Now, I know you want to say, why aren't you going to put any in here? Well, we're not going to do that yet because we want that to be more of a highlight right there. So, I'm just going to stop with this darkest color right there. And then I'm going to go to R37. So I did 2 black and now I'm doing 2 red. This one is going to be much lighter. So I'm going to keep going, but I'm not going to go over what I already did. I'm just going to kind of start where I stopped with the last red color. And I am doing the motion kind of fast because I don't want it to put down a large amount of ink. The longer your marker sits on the paper, the more ink you get on it. The faster you do it, the less ink you get on there, and that's what we want. So you have to try not to think about it and just do it. If you miss the paper, that's okay. You can go back and do it again. So don't be afraid to hover over the paper just to get a really light stroke. This is one of the hardest things that people find to master for hair. It just takes a bit of time. So don't beat yourself up, just practice. Okay. Hey Phyllis, moving on to N7. Now this one is gray, so it's gonna kind of take us back to a darker color. So I'm just going to do it in like long brush strokes, kind of randomly throughout her hair. It's sort of just filling in those spaces, deepening that color up just a little bit. There's not a whole lot of like design or reason where I'm putting the color. I'm just sporadically putting it so that the red isn't too red just yet. It will be when I get to the next color. There's only going to be one more color and it's not going to be gray. So I did 2 gray, 2 red, then 1 gray, and now this will be the last one. And this is R35.
Did you answer, Barbara?
How long have I been a colorist? Oh, I don't know, close to 20 years. I think I've been doing it about 20 years. I did all the Copic certification classes. I have taught in stores and stuff like that before locally. I love it. So yeah, you can tell. Okay, this one we're just going to do more on the side. We want a thicker amount going on there, but very lightly. So I'm going to just barely touch the paper. Notice I'm always staying in the direction of the hair. Whichever way the hair is flowing, I want to stay in that direction. So that kind of filled up that hair and left some beautiful color. I'm going to go over just this under part. You're not going to be able to see it all that much because it's already kind of colored in, but I want to add this, just a little bit of this, just to make sure everything stays consistent. So now I'm going to do this side. And then we have this beautiful hair, but if you spend a lot of time on the paper like this with a real heavy, thick hand, you're going to wash out those strands of hair that you want to see. So you want to do it, but you want to just barely touch the paper like this. So you're just, look how much lighter that is than that. So that's the key, in case you were wondering. And we have a beautiful color of hair. It's not as red, but it will look more red when we add more to her clothes. So don't worry, we got it. I didn't use this color, R32, but I am going to want to use R32 on her eyebrows. So I'm going to leave that color out because we're going to use it. And then I'm going to go back to my N10, and I'm going to put a little bit of black in her outfit. So like her waistline, hoping this is going to keep her with a thin waistline. And then around this gray area right down here. A little bit here and right around here. It gives a good separation and almost gives a little bit of a depth look between the two. So I'm going to put that on there. You love that color? Thank you. Me too. I would have done her purple, but then that didn't fit with my theme for tonight, you know, so gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you just gotta do something else. Okay, so for her, I think I'm gonna stick with both of these areas being red, all of this being red, and then I think we're gonna make the collar black. and the lines here at the bottom black. So not a whole lot of black in this outfit, but I think this part up here by her neck is so small. I'm just going to do all of that black. Right there. The only place I may add a second color is right out here towards the edge of that. I might leave a little spot there for the next color. It's okay if you don't use purple today. We know you still love it. Yes. Okay. Now, these down here, if you want to keep them looking a lot of dimension, I'm going to do the really dark colors like out from each section. So it looks like the dress is folding in right there. And if you want, you could put a little bit along the edge, but it's not really, the edge isn't really the important part. The important part is getting these and do them in that same direction that the dress is going. So they need to be a little bit curved like that. And you know what? We might just go ahead and do this part of her scepter too, because we're going to need to have that in there. So. And I think black would be great for this since we're going to do a bunch of red around it. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that in now. I was tempted to put black along the top of that crown, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to resist. I'm going to skip the N8 and go to the N7. I'd be so excited to see a sneak peek tonight. That would be awesome. I did show a small sneak peek last night when I was over at the Happy Crafty Ho Ho page.
Since we showed that, we can show that again.
Dale said, since we showed that, we can show that again if you guys really want to see it. And I skipped the N8 because these areas are so small that I don't want to try to stick a whole bunch of colors in there, you know. So I felt like I didn't really need the additional color. This one, we'll finish this one off. And I did get a little bit outside the lines right there. I am going to push that back in, so I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. Yes, please. Uh-oh. All right, let me finish this black and then I'll show you. Dale brought me the little sneak peek to show you guys. N6 is next, so let me just finish up this while it's wet, and then I will show. I think you guys are going to be really excited about this release. Yeah, I'm sorry I dropped all that stuff on the floor earlier, honey. So now I'm just blending out the white area in with the last black color. Just kind of in a back and forth. I like to do a back and forth motion when I'm just trying to get the colors to just blend with themselves. So there we go. She has all of the black that I want to put on there and all of the gray. And then there'll be some more up here, but I just haven't decided quite yet which part I want to be red and which one black and all that good stuff. So we'll decide that at the end. Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready? It's in my hand. This is going to be part of the freebie digital that's going to come out. Okay, you ready? I'm going to move my hand fast. Boo. Isn't that adorable? You love her? I love her too. She's so pretty. She's so pretty. That is so cute, isn't it? And you can have it. You don't even have to spend any money. It's going to be free. It's one of the freebies. Okay, starting with our R39, we're going to start building in her dress. So I'm going to start right here. Was everybody looking? I'm like, there'll be that one person who goes, I looked away. Oh my gosh, show it again. Because it never fails. If I were watching, I'd be like, oh, I didn't look up right when she said that. Okay. Now we're going to come down here. We're not going to put quite as much as we did at the top. And I'm just going to focus on this darkest color right up here along her waist and under her hand. And then I'm going to get lighter as we go down. But I want this down here to be red too. And I want it to be underneath what's on top. So I need to build a little bit of shadow to give that effect. So I am going to go all the way along that underside of that little flap. It kind of makes me think of a ladybug. Does that make you think of a ladybug? I mean, it is red and black, and these look like little ladybug wings to me a little bit. I always try to see things a little bit differently. And to me right now, this is the first time it's felt like that, but it feels a little bit like a ladybug. You stopped coloring to watch that sneaky peek? All right. And don't worry, tomorrow's Friday, and I will give you the full sneaky peek tomorrow. Show you some samples. Then we're going to go over to do a big release party, which is going to be so much fun, and you won't want to miss out because there could be prizes, you know, so you should come check us out. I'm going to focus just on her dress right now, and then we'll focus on her scepter and the hearts on her crown and her dress afterwards. I like to see how much red I actually have in there and how much black before I decide what I want to do with the additional parts in the image. So R37 is next. I'm going to just put a bit up here in these, leaving just really light areas for a little bit of the last color. What are you laughing at? Dale's over there laughing so hard. I'm like, what are you laughing at? Were you looking at Facebook?
At Instagram.
Yeah, I figured.
It's a meme that was kind of like us.
Oh, I see. Then this other side of that scepter, we want a little bit of color on that side, but this one isn't going to go down quite as far. I'm going to leave some of that bottom section for the light color so it shows a variation between what's underneath and what's on top. So not going to leave a whole lot at the bottom here for that last color because I really do want this section to be a little darker. Normally you could add in like an R59 or R89 or something for a little bit more depth in this bottom section, but I'm trying to keep it to a limited number of markers. So that is why we could leave some for this R32 if we wanted to. R35 is the last one I was going to use. It's going to just fill in that area and give just a really nice little highlight there. Just kind of brightens up that center section just a little bit. I'll go back and forth here to kind of get a good blend. Sort of push some of that ink around. I think this time I'm going to go down from this color Then I'm going to go around the outside. And I'm going to leave a little bit for that last color because I want to keep this really light. So this section will get all of this color. And then same thing here. Just go around and leave a small space for that last color. But down here, we're not going to leave any space for that last color because we want to keep this darker. So I'm doing a little bit of back and forth. Notice I'm using the side of my marker. It puts a lot more ink on the paper and blends it a little bit faster. So there we go. Now we have that part all done. She's pretty. I like her. She doesn't have quite as much black as she usually does, so I think we'll put more black on the scepter. All right, here's R32. And it's quite a bit lighter than the R35, so we may have to do a little bit of a tip to tip. So this is 35, this is 32. Always pick up the darker color with the lighter marker. There we go. Don't do it the other way around. It just doesn't work the other way very well. There we go. Softening that up. And that leaves it much lighter. I think if I hold it up, now I need to take off any of that extra I have on this marker. Because we're going to do the eyes with it. I don't want to mess it up. All right, let's go ahead and do the eyes while we're at it. So R35, I'm just going to touch right along that eyebrow line. Just barely. Just a little bit here. Almost like an eyeliner, if you will. Hard to see because it's just a teeny bit. I'll show you up close. Just a little bit above that. And then we're going to take this R32 and we're going to spread up from where we put that dark color. Not all the way, just a little bit. Try to keep this rounded like you would with real eyeshadow. I'm going to do this one up just a little bit. And then it's going to look like this one didn't take quite as much. So I'm going to do the tip to tip again because I didn't get quite as much around this edge over here. And it has hair around it, so we kind of want it to be where the hair is, just a little bit darker. I'm going to brush off any of that excess. And then the key to this is the eyeshadow to me looks a little bit funny unless you go back and add the E00 over top of it. The E00 is what's going to blend it into a natural look, or at least that's what I think anyway. So now we have a very nice subtle pink. We got a little bit of a line right there that I want to kind of work out. And then there you go. It's a very soft, subtle pink eyeshadow on your beautiful little girl, but I think it's the E00 that does the trick, or whatever skin tone you're using at the time. Okay, so for this part, let's do all that we want to do in the black before we move on to anything else. So I'm going to skip N10 and I'm going to go to N8. Practice is the key to great coloring. So true. So true. I think I'm going to do this great big heart on the outside in this black color, since she has so much red right up close to her. So I'm going to do what's underneath the crown and then up a little bit from this bottom piece right here. I think I'm going to do this whole inside piece in red. We're just going to do the black on the outside piece. N7. I'm going to extend from there. And really, it doesn't matter. You can color it whatever color you want. This is just what goes on in my brain when I'm choosing my colors. I just want to get a little bit of more black on that before I wow it out with red. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start with these little ribbons or bows, whatever you want to call them, that go around here with the N7. I'm going to leave that last stone alone. It'll be red too. Then I'm going to go to N6. This is going to be my last color. So I'm going to fill in the rest. Try not to go too fast. Don't get overzealous. You'll go outside the lines and then you'll have to fix it. And that part's not fun. But it's also not hard. It's easy to do. So there we go. While we're in this part, before we start with the red, I'm going to grab my colorless blender and just kind of bump some of this red back. Red is hard to move. So you want to do it a very little bit at a time. Don't do too much at one time. Okay, I want the hearts and the accents to be a little bit darker than this R39. So I'm going to grab R59 just to add a little bit more depth so they look a little bit different than the dress. So I'm going to start with the center one with this R59. And I'm just going to do one side of it real dark. And I'm going to do the same thing with these hearts. I'll wait and do that one a little bit lighter, so it's a little bit different. I'm going to do the bottoms of each one of these hearts on her crown. On her beautiful crown. And then I'm going to go to the R39 and I'm going to build from there. But this inside section right here, I want a little bit of red between the black. So I'm going to do that first, all the way around. And then before I move on to anything else, I'm going to wipe just in case I picked up any black. And then I'm going to extend on this inside heart, just a little bit. So I'm going to extend on this one, a little bit on this one, that one. I'm going to go up one side. This one's in the middle, so I'll just do both sides. There we go. Almost done with her. We have to give her really cool eyes, and I haven't decided what color eyes would be really cool. R37, this is going to be the lines here. And then the rest of the outline of the heart. And then I'm going to leave a small spot for the rest. And I'm just going to do this whole gemstone right here in that color. And I know these look like bows, but I'm going to put red on the inside of them. Just like they're, like it's a butterfly kind of. You can do that, but you don't have to. I'm going to do the outline of this heart. And then I'm going to finish these, except for a small area for the last color. These are just too small. I'm just going to leave them for the last color. I said last color. We have one more after this, but I'm going to add a little bit to this outside. Just a little bit. Right around the edges. And then I'm going to finish the inside of this heart with this R35. And then I'm going to finish this one. And I'm just patting that color in there. This one. Then I'm going to finish that one. And I'm going to finish every one of these. And then I'm going to go in with that last color, that R32, the one that we had to do the tip to tip. And I'm not going to tip to tip. I'm just going to add it in here so it's a little bit of a different color. It kind of makes that center heart sort of pop because you have this really light color up against it. It's almost like it glows a little bit. Green eyes. Yes, 10 to 15 minutes a day helps. I did that for about 2 to 3 years. I mean, occasionally you miss because life gets a hold of you, but I tried to do it every single night before I went to bed, even if I just did like a small part of her dress or just a piece of her hair or just the skin tone, something, you know, just to get that going. Okay, the request was green eyes. Let's do green eyes. So we are going to, I think I'm going to use these 3 colors, YG67, 17, and YG21. So we're going to put this dark color right up here towards the top. Just on each side. And I want to make sure it's in there good. So I'm kind of going over it a couple of times. And then I'm going to use this YG17. And I'm just going to extend a teeny bit further. These are pretty small eyes, so you don't really want to do a whole lot to them. But you definitely want them to pop. Which is where this YG21 is going to come in because it's a really bright color. It's not really a green color, but it's going to blend these two together and leave that really bright area along the bottom of her eyes. So I think it's what's going to make it really good. So yeah, they look really good. Okay. I am going to go one more time back in with YG17 and just go over top of where the darkest part was just to get that depth between the dark and the light. And then they'll really show up. So right now I'm just going to touch this red area again because we're going to cut this girl out in a minute. Well, probably in about 10 minutes. But, we want to go in with our multi-liner and deepen her eyes. Now, I go over it's hard to go from light to dark to light, but watching your replays really helps. Yes. So when I first started coloring, I colored light to dark. And I switched midway through my learning because I found out that you use less ink if you color dark to light, because you don't have to keep going over it like you do when you do light to dark. So I just went over her eye, like her pupil and her her eyelash, just to make, and you can see how much better it looks. But I switched because it uses less ink and I was refilling the markers all the freaking time. So I wanted to save on ink. Now I don't usually do the top of the eyelash, but because we put the makeup on it, I wanted it to look, I wanted it to really show up. I'm not going to put any white gel pen on before I cut her out because it always messes it up. But we did have a rose. So this one. Okay. And this rose is going to sit on the card up front like this. And we can use all the colors we already used on our rose. And I want it to look like it's white and painted red on some of it. So it's going to be like white on this side and then it's going to be red on this side. So let's do the stem and and the other part first. And I think for the thorn, I'm just going to grab myself an E27. And I'm just going to put it in there for my little thorns. So I don't really need to focus too much on that. And then I'm going to take this YG67 we did for her eyes. And I'm going to put a dark line along the edge. All the way down to the bottom. And then these are little, you know, when the rose opens up and there's the green petals that protected it when it was a baby. I don't know what that's all technically called, but that's what those are at the bottom. And that's what I'm coloring in. All right, now we're going to take our, oh, I forgot to do the petals, but that's okay. We'll get to that. I'm going to, this is such a small area that I think I'm just going to do the whole thing with this YG17. But you can tell how there's a lighter side and a darker side if you don't blend too much. So I like to do that. Then I'm just going to finish these. And I still want to use the darkest color on the inside of the leaves. So I'm just going to do them real quick. I went back to YG67 and I'm just going to go over the artist lines first. And then I'm going to do the bottom part of the petal. So just this way. Then I'm going to grab the YG17. And I'm going to go up from this part towards the center of the leaf. I'm going to do down from the center and leave just a little bit for that lightest color, just to give it a little bit of pop. So up here, I go down from the center and up from the edge. And then I just have a small area to add the YG21. Just gonna do a little bit of that back and forth. It'll blend nicely with the YG17 and we'll get a really beautiful little leafy color there. And it's still the same markers that we used for the other stuff. Hey, Mom. Okay, so if we're gonna start with doing the petal part gray and or part white and part, you know, we're going to start off with N2 to put in, and I'm going to kind of focus on half of the flower. So anywhere I want a shadow color, I'm going to put this N2, and it is very light, so it's going to be a little bit hard to see on camera, but I am using N2. And then right here, we'll probably do half of that one color and half of it another color. Anyway, you'll see what I mean. I'm not really sure how it's going to work out because I haven't visualized it in my head yet, but we're just going to roll with it and it will probably do what it's, you know, whatever I'm imagining in my head, or it'll turn out crappy and we'll just stamp it again. It's not a big deal. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit right here too. And this rose would look really pretty white, you know? Yes. That is my mommy. Okay, and Phyllis is my mother-in-law. So they're both here tonight. So N0, I'm going to just extend out from where I put that last color. Notice I'm not filling in the whole thing because we're going to kind of use the colorless blender to sort of bring it a little more white than gray. But you'll see how that works in just a minute. Since we're doing half and half, we have to just be a little bit cautious on where we put all of the whites and stuff. All right, I'm going to grab the colorless blender now, if I can find it on my desk amongst the other markers. Oh, there it is. And then I'm just going to lightly blend, like just kind of lightly touch over where I put the gray colors. Don't spend too much time doing it, but it will lighten up the colors just a little bit, and I feel like we need that. You'll start to learn when you want to do that and when you don't. So I'm going to stick with that for now. And now we're going to come in doing red from the flip side. So this is R39, and that's where I'm going to put all of the deep red. And remember, we don't want this to be very straight and perfect. It's not, because they're painted, not grown in rose color. So we want to give that impression that there is some red, but it's not all red yet. So we'll have some little bit of mixing up going on there. Now this one, I did all this one in gray, but I'm going to just swipe a little bit of red in there. And I'm not going to blend that out. I'm just going to swipe a little bit in there. I'm also going to do a little bit here. I may blend them a little bit with the gray, but I'm not going to blend them with the red. And then we did this side will have to be red. So there we go. We have some basics in there. Now we're going to flip to R37. And now that you guys have watched me color all of these two things with great detail, I'm going to whip through those cards in just a minute really fast, because there's not a lot of coloring on those, and you kind of already saw the details on how to do that. So I think we'll be able to get those done pretty fast. I'll try to get a little bit over here. We want to go a little bit this way. This is going to be a half and half, Rose. Best group of crafty peeps. I enjoy you all. We enjoy having you too. Okay, I'm going to do them in sort of brush strokes so they're not real defined. We also want just a little bit of that. Notice how it's getting significantly lighter, which is great. That's what we want. These over here, I'm pretty okay with just finishing off the ones that are closest to the outside, because they would already be painted. It's just going to get lighter as we go through the center. So we also have, we'll do once with R32, and then we're going to come back with the N0 and kind of blend out anything that's too dark. So just kind of starting to move over a little bit further. Just a little bit. Because this color is so much lighter than the rest, it really is helping with that transition into that like dark, that light white, because it's transitioning really, really well. Isn't that awesome? I love it. I'm very happy with how it came out. So I'm going to go in with my N0, and I'm going to come from the opposite direction wherever I have the pink, and I'm just going to kind of push it sort of back a little bit, just to kind of soften those edges wherever the edge of the pink is into the white. Ooh, ooh. We just need the colorless blender one more time to kind of soften anywhere that it didn't, that I just added more of the gray. And there we go. Look at that rose. Isn't that neat? That is really cool. I love it. I'm very happy. And I think when we put this all together, it's going to be Stunning. This part, and we don't have to cut out. This is going to stay just like this. We're going to add a sentiment to the side. But remember, we have these little cards, and we're not going to do this one or this one. And we're just going to take the end two, and I'm just going to go around the edges. Especially around where the A is. And I'm going to be cutting these out, so I'm not really going to focus too much on staying inside the lines because I'm going to cut them out on the line, which I don't normally do, but for cards, they kind of don't need a extra anything. So just putting this color in here kind of quickly in all four corners. We'll come in with the end zero and kind of blend it all out. We'll color the red over top of it wherever we need red. And I'm really not doing a lot of definition on this because it will be enough just like this for you to tell what you're doing, what the intent was. All right, end zero is next. And I'm just going to extend out from where I put that first color. I'm not going to go over the heart, but I am going to get a little bit of color in there. We're going to do that on all of them. I don't need them to be smooth. Maybe they're wrinkled cards. You never know. I just want to get a bit of color in there. And we'll use the colorless blender to kind of blend that out and make that look a little bit more smooth, but they're worn cards, you know. She's wearing those cards out when they're protecting her castle. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Sometimes it's okay to messy color. Especially if you're not cutting a border around it. This is my colorless blender. I'm going to come in here and just kind of do a little bit around the edges to kind of smooth that out. And it gives me a really nice card look. This one has a little bit of dark right there, so we'll just hit it with this colorless blender and it will fix it all for us. So you could leave them white if you want, but I kind of like the gray-ish color versus white, like whatever color your paper is. I just don't usually ever leave anything the same color as the paper. Maybe that's just me. You could probably leave yours white and just color the heart, but it's up to you. So I'm just blending this out. Yes, I'm getting colorless blender inside the heart, but as long as it's dry before I go in with the red, we're golden. And since I'm working on these, that one's probably already dry, and I'm pretty happy with that. So there we go. That gives me what I need. They've had a hard life. Exactly. They've had such a hard time. All right, I'm going to use R39, and I'm just going to go around the whole. This is a card, so it's a flat object. It's not a, doesn't have a lot of dimension. I'm just going to go around the outside of the hearts. Color it a little bit different than the other stuff. This part you have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to go into the white. Red's hard to move around, but you can do it. I'm going to stop after this one and work on the inside because if we touch those that are wet, it'll draw the red out, and I don't want to do that. So I am going to go here. And I'm going to go here. And I'm going to leave that center part for my last color. And here. See, I told you these would go by pretty fast. And they are. We're almost done with them. And they'll fussy cut them really fast too. Okay, with this one, I'm going to just do a little dot right there and right there because I have open hearts there. It it just gives us a tad bit of pinkish red in that part of the card. Now that these are fairly dry, I'm going to go in and do my little hearts while I can. There we go. And then R35, we're going to blend out. I'm just going to do it in a circular motion just to get the ink in there. And then we'll work those edges, which means just go over where the two colors meet up, and you'll get a nice, sweet, smooth blend. The cards have had a hard life.
It's a hard card life for us.
Good job, honey. So just add the color and then work the edges, and it'll smooth it out and look really nice. It's pretty quick. Just work those edges. There we go. Now we just have 3 more, and you saw how quick that went. So R39 around the outside. Let's do them all at one time. Yes, I did 7 because if I messed one up, I could leave it off. But if they all work out, they will all go on the card. And then R37. That's where I did this part right here. Around this side. This one. And then here. Am I missing any conversation, honey?
No.
Okay. And then R35 is the last one. So we're going to just get that color in there and then work those transition areas between the last color and this color. There we go. Almost there. You guys know I can fussy cut pretty fast. And the card base pieces are already cut, but I can tell you what they are if you want to know. I'm pretty sure I've done this card maybe one other time. So if you don't watch every single live, you may have never seen it. But if you watch every single live, then you may have seen it one time. All right, so there's our little cards. And I am going to cut them on the line. And I'm going to cut them all out at one time. There we go. The corners are slightly rounded, so I am going to do them a little bit rounded if I can. There we go. There we go. All right. Now let's get these guys going. Right on the line. We'll flip this one around. You know, if you don't cut exactly on the line and you leave any white spaces, you can always use your Copic marker to dull any white that's left over, and then you're good. So you don't have to worry about the edges. I cut that one a little square. There's one.
Susie said, great to be able to catch the previous lives on your YouTube channel.
Yes, you can. 2. Not too bad. 3. Told you these would go pretty fast.
And if you watch a video on YouTube,
4.
please just drop a like on it. Helps us out.
Subscribe. We would love to have you subscribe. There we go. That's 5. I am an experienced fussy cutter. Cut a little bit on that corner, but I am going to overlap some, so it's okay. 6. One more. And then we got to cut the girl out, and that won't take too long either. There we go. All our cards are cut out. So that was quick. Now we're back to our beautiful girl we have here. We are going to cut her with a little bit of an outline, though, because I really normally like them like that. But I didn't want to do it on the cards. I thought it was too much. I think that white outline looks crisp and pretty, but I know some people like it, some people don't. So if you want to cut on the line, go right ahead. Whatever you like. I don't like these little tails hanging off when I cut. So generally when I get to a good spot, I just cut them off. They drive me crazy. Also, I don't like going into all those little areas right away. I am going to cut them out. But I feel it's faster if I do it like this. And then go back and just cut out those spaces that I want to cut out. Or it might look good like this. You never know. No, it'll drive me crazy. I'll be like a crazy person. Might be okay for some people, but all right, here we go. We also, I like to make all the little notches, and I like it to look like it was cut with a die. Oh, there's another tail. And then what do I do with that, you say? I'm going to cut it with the X-Acto knife. And this really cute, amazing little self-healing mat that I have. I don't sell them in my shop, but I have looked for them to sell. I got it from Tall Mouse at the expo. And it's so awesome. Because I don't have to get a great big old mat out just to do small areas. There we go. And she's done. Except for her little small spots. So here's my little self-healing mat. When I said little, I meant little. Make it look easy. You make fussy cutting look so easy. If only. It is easy if you do it a whole bunch. You kind of get used to it. This is why I do X-Acto pretty fast too, because I've done it so much. I know you guys are all probably going, don't cut your finger, don't cut your finger. I don't usually cut my fingers, so that's good. And this little one, I know it's small, but it's going to drive me crazy because it's such a solid white spot that I'm going to go ahead and cut just a little bit out of that. Because, like I said, it'll just drive me crazy. There we go. Now, all we have to do is finish off her crown, which you'll see is so much easier when you don't have a great big piece of paper hanging off. The trick is move the design, not the scissors. Slippery little suckers, though. Keep that in mind. I could have left it on there. It didn't look too bad. But for me, it would just drive me crazy. One more, we're done. I could have done it with the X-Acto knife, but I felt like it was a little bit faster this way. So there we go. So now we have her all cut out in all her beautiness. while we build the card, we're going to put the white gel pen on her before we build the card so it can dry while we're...
Beth has a question.
Yes, Beth has a question.
Having trouble with the new Misty. My cardstock shifts and my images are blurry.
Do you use the magnets or do you have a sticky mat inside your Misty? So I know you see me use it without the magnets, but that's because I have a sticky mat inside my Misty, which doesn't come with, but I bought one and put it in there so it wouldn't shift.
She uses magnets.
Use magnets. Okay. Yeah, I struggle a little with the magnets, but my biggest thing is make sure you put something put it in the corner so that if it moves when you lift up the door, you can put it back in the corner and it'll line up again. And I can show you that, but let me do the card and stuff, and then at the end I'll show it to you. That way the people who already know how to use or already have a Misty can head on to what else they're going to do tonight, and you and I can hit that one more time.
What about blurry?
It's only blurry because the paper's shifting. If you do it exactly on top of the other one, it won't do that.
What if you put too much pressure on it?
It won't do that. Okay, where are my papers? They were sitting right here. These are the pattern papers. There should be another one. It fell on the floor. Dale's finding it on the floor for me. Okay. All right. So I chose this paper pad, but I'll go over that in a minute. I chose this paper pad, Whimsical Wonderland, and I cut. This was 8.5 by 11, so this is the 11 inches long, and then I cut it. What did I cut it to? I can tell you. I can't remember now. 4 1/4. So this is 4 1/4 height and 11 inches wide. And then we have to score it. We have to score it in a couple of places. So we have to put it in our little scoreboard. And I know my camera really hates this scoreboard, but I'm going to try to make it because I love this scoreboard. But we're going to score it at 2 inches and 3 3/4 inches and 7 1/4 and 9. Okay, it's 4 score lines. 2, 3 3/4, 7 1/4, and 9. So 4 score lines, and that's it. That's all we need to do with the scoreboard. So super easy. And then you also need a 5.5 by 4 1/4, same size of an A2 card, but it's just one. Okay, just a one piece, one panel. That's all you need. And then this one that we scored, we're gonna fold it. So this inside fold, we're going to fold towards the inside like this. And then we're going to burnish it. You love that paper? I love that paper too. In fact, I love that paper so much that this is my personal stash, and that's all I have left. I almost used the whole paper pad. Okay, so once you have that folded in, then you're going to take this second score line and fold it backwards like this. Okay? All right, let's put it back the way it was. Okay, now the other side, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So this is now like the Z fold. We're going to do the same thing. On this inside score line, we're going to fold that towards the inside of the card. Just like we did the other side. And then we're going to take this piece and fold it backwards. Okay? And we're going to burnish that, and hopefully when we put them together, they match up perfectly. See that? Ta-da! Now you have like 2 Z folds all together in one, loving each other. See? They're just hugging each other. Okay. Next, we're going to decorate before we assemble because it's just easier that way. Okay. So I cut this piece, which is the piece that goes in the center inside here. So it's only 1/8 of an inch smaller. So see, it's the same paper on, it's this side is the other side of this paper. See? So I wanted to put her, since we were going to use the rose, this rose that we did, I wanted to put her on in the rose garden because I just thought that would be neat. So I'm going to glue this, and this one is just like 3 3/8 by 4 1/8. It's just smaller than, a little bit smaller. I mean, if you can make this piece, then you can just measure whatever size you want to put in there. If you wanted to have 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch border, or whatever border you wanted it to be. I knew this glue was, I left the glue open last night, and it had see, it had like a little knot in there. So I'll just spread this glue out, because you can just rub the glue on your hand like that and it goes away like there was never anything on your hands. And then I'm going to place this, and black is hard to see, I know, but I really wanted this black. Okay, just make sure that when you put it in there, you can still fold your pages, and if you can, then you're golden. Use your pressure tool to like burnish that, and if you're worried about it moving around, just flip it over and do the back instead. Either way, whichever way works for you. Oh, thank you. I love the paper pads too. They make me happy. Okay, I cut 6 different sheets. So I had to cut 2 pages to get all of these. So this one fits. So this outside piece is a little bit, see how it's a little bit longer than the inside one? So I have 2 that are smaller. Can you see that? So these 2 larger ones fit on the outside, and these 2 skinnier ones fit on the inside. But I'm going to look at them just to see. I remember when I cut them, they should have matched up. So there they are. See? So I was just looking to see if I could figure out. Now I did 3 out of one sheet and 1 out of the other, so maybe that one technically doesn't match up, but these 2 match up. So I'm going to put them that way. So I'm going to put the glue on here, and I'm going to put this one right here. And again, I just did 1/8 of an inch border, so it's like really tiny border. I didn't want a whole lot of the card showing, but make sure you can fold it and it doesn't stick up when you put it on there. And then we're going to do this one. And we are almost done, guys. Really, I promise. Okay, so the Barely Art glue lets you shift for a little bit, but once it stops, that's it, you're done, you know, kind of thing. So shift it around all you need, and if it isn't doing what you want, pick it up right away before it, you know, gets stuck. I decided at the last minute to flip this one over. That's why these aren't showing the roses, because I didn't cut them so the patterns went straight, you know. So, but I changed my mind at the last minute and wanted to put her in the garden because I thought this would just be gorgeous if I flip-flopped. So I always try to match the sides so you can use them together, and this is a really good example of that. But I try to do that with all the papers. The flip side will always match. In case you cut a piece off and you want to match it up, you can put it on the same card, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's the way I use the papers, so that's the way I made them so that, you know, they wouldn't go to waste. Ta-da! Okay, so good so far. Okay, what happened to my, I guess my other piece of paper must be on the floor where Dale picked them up, or maybe I'm gonna have to cut another one because there was one more piece of paper over here. He came over and put some stuff up on that I had knocked over, and it fell on the floor, and I don't know where it went. So I'm just gonna cut another piece because I'm kind of missing a piece. And it has to be a little bit bigger than this one, so this piece of paper will work because it needs to be the background of this one. So this one's 3 inches by 3, so I'll just do this square at 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. I don't know what happened to the one that fell on the floor, but there we go, there it is. Okay, so we're going to take this one that we colored, and we're going to place it on top of this one that I just cut. This is a 3 by 3 square. So when you get ready to color, this is the size that you need for, this is the front piece that we're going to put on there. It's what's going to kind of hold the whole thing together closed before it reveals the queen on the inside. So I need a sentiment on this one. So I'm going to grab my stamp sets, which I put right here. And it says, let your adventure, imagination, and persistence can make the impossible possible. I like that one. Let's do that one. That's one of my favorites. It's a very encouraging sentiment. Oop. Right there. All right. So I'm going to wing this one with a stamp that is not, yeah, I'm going to do it with a block. I know that's crazy, but we're going to do it anyway. And I'm going to use the red ink that I have. It's not really red, so I'm going to test it before I actually put it on the card. Because, you know, I don't want to get the wrong color red on here. So I could use black. Oh, no, it'll be fine. It works just fine. So, just going to center that, lay it down, press it, lift it straight up, and there you go. And that's how you do it. Pow! Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Just saying. All right. So I have a bunch of these extra cards because I wanted to put some on the front, some in the middle, some on the back. So I'm going to put some glue on this one. I'm going to attach them together kind of like that. Just momentarily until it sticks. Once it sticks, I'm going to flip it over and put glue on the back. I'm going to add it right here. Just like that. I'm going to go turn it over so I can press it on there really good so I know it's going to stay. And look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right. Now we're going to put this girl right inside here where she looks so good in there. Eek! You guys, this card, man, this is going to be a good card. I already feel the feelers for it. I'm feeling all the good things. Feeling all the good things. She's going to go right there. I'm going to flip her over before I rub that one on there, just because I don't want to move her around or smear any of her stuff. Ta-da! All right, I thought I now have five cards left. 5 cards left. I'm going to add them after I assemble everything together. So this card is going to fold up like that. And it's going to fit on this background right here. So you're going to kind of center it on there. So you kind of, I'm just going to eyeball it. But yes, you center it on there. So we're going to put all the glue on just this back panel right here. Just like that. I'm going to hold them together. So I can place it down and kind of eyeball the center. Once I let go of it, I'm going to stand it up and make sure the top and the bottom, and then make sure the sides look pretty even. It all looks pretty even. Tops and bottom are flush. Just going to press this all down here. And I have these extra pieces that I cut so that I could add them to this edge right here. Just a little bit more, you know? And these are pretty small. They're, I don't remember what size they are, but they're really skinny. They're really skinny. I think they're, let's see. I think they're 5/8 wide and 4 1/8 tall or height, whichever way you want to calculate that. We're going to stick this one on there. We're almost done, and this card is going to be so stinking cute. Seriously. So that fits on there. We have a heart at the top of that one, club at the other one. Make sure those stay on there. So when you first, it looks like a whole table of just, isn't it awesome? Okay, now for the last part, attaching this part, which I think is going to make it look really, really good, is I'm going to take this panel and I'm going to attach it to this side all the way over to the edge. Just on this side. And I'm going to be a little careful. See that I see this line down here. If I line it up right there, it almost works just perfectly. You can still see the patterns on the top and the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, let's see how far. This is what I do sometimes. Okay, I need to do it this far. And then I go like this. And I'm going to set this down so that it's all the way to the edge of the paper, but I only want it down as far as that line. Oh, I didn't wait long on that. I want to make sure this stays very flush and level on the edge. So I'm going to stand it up and make sure it is exactly where I want it to be. And once I have it there, I'm going to lay it all flat, flip it over, and I'm going to press it down. And then when I flip it back over, it's going to sit like that. So I'm going to burnish these edges one more time just because then I know it will stay. And then we're going to add our little cards because I think it will be fun to have those cards on there. This part will go that way, that part will go that way. And once you have it flat for a little while, it kind of stays flat. But that's what it looks like when you open it up. Had school, did math with craft English. I might have done better with it. Might have the whole Queen of Hearts and black and white theme. Yeah. Ta-da! So I feel like some of these cards would look really cute. Like what I was thinking was down the side. Kind of like this. I just think it'd be neat to overlap them just a little bit. So I'm going to take this one and put it there. And then I'm going to take this one, put it there. Kind of like the cards are falling all over the place. Hey, stay there where I put you. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put glue on the back. Hopefully it'll stay stuck together because I didn't put a whole lot of glue. Ta-da! I dropped it on the card. And I want them on this panel because I don't want you to see them when you close it. So I'm going to put them on this panel right here. And then the other ones, I thought I would put them up here by her. Kind of goes with the whole theme. So I'm going to glue this one right here to this one, kind of like I did before. I'm going to flip it over. It is I like the card. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. And you know, we need just a teeny bit more bling. So I'm going to use my magnet to hold that shut while I add just a couple of more little blings. And I feel like it should be like really shiny. So I think I'm going to pull out my my like really expensive bling bling. Because you guys know, I only pull out the diamonds. I don't know how to say it. Swarovski. However you say that. I'm terrible at that word. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I was looking for it in the word, but I can't find it. Anyway, Swarovski or something like that. They're really shiny. So we're going to use the diamond color ones. And I'm going to put them in my bling tray so I don't spill them all over the place. If I can find my bling tray, which is supposed to be sitting right here on my desk. And it is. So I'm just going to put them in the little tray. The good thing is you can shake the tray and the little things will flip them the right way. So you don't have to worry about that. And then I thought just a couple of little ones here is all I need. I don't think you need very many, but I do think it will really make it shimmer if it has just a little bit of bling on there. I mean, who doesn't like just a little bit of flashy bling on their card? And now that I added them, I think I want to do two more over here. I can't help myself. You guys, I'm out of control. Here we go. And there is the other one. The Barely Art glue dries clear, so I don't really care if it like oozes out. Because it will dry clear and this stuff will be all sparkly. I'm going to use my press tool just to press them down so I know they have a really good hold. And then there we go, you guys. We have a completed project. Don't forget that tomorrow is release preview. And the party is Saturday. And we're going to do all kinds of stuff. And there might be prizes on Saturday. Look at the bling on that stuff. Can you see it? It's so hard. The camera never does it quite justice, But look at that rose. Isn't that rose beautiful in white and red? It's just awesome. Yep, somebody's trying to spell Swarovski. And then you open it up and look at her. She is beautiful. And then the card will also sit like this. If you send it to someone, it will sit like that so they can see all of the beauty part. Saturday, it's going to be late. I don't know exactly what time, but I'll post it in the group. As soon as I find out the exact time, I'll post it in the group for you guys. So just watch the group. You guys, this was oh, there you go. There you go. Tamara, is that Central Time? Or is that Eastern Time? Tamara helps run that page over there, so she's really good at letting us know. But I hope you guys like that. Oh, that's Eastern Time. Okay, so it's going to be 7 Central Time. 7 p.m. on Saturday, we're going to start partying. No, 8 p.m. because you said 9, right? Eastern Time, 9 is 8 p.m. our time. So 8 p.m. Saturday, Central Time, 8 p.m. Central Time. We are going to do a new release party over on Happy Crafty Ho Ho. Tamara, if you can put the 8 p.m. Central Time and the link to Happy Crafty Ho Ho's channel, I would absolutely greatly appreciate it. 2 a.m. Yay! 2 a.m. is better than 4 a.m. At least it's a Saturday, Susie. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are super great. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the card. Come back on tomorrow and see a preview. Go Saturday to the Happy Crafty Ho Ho for a craft release party. And don't forget to stop by the shop. When you do, don't forget your freebie. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Don't forget Beth's Misty thing.
Oh, yes. And Beth, stick around for a couple of minutes. And as soon as I finish talking, I'm going to show you the Misty. So thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe so you can help build that channel. We can do more crafty things over there as well. So love you guys. Thank you for being here. Looking forward to doing the release with you guys. Okay. For anybody who wants to stay, Beth, let's look at the Misty. Where is the Misty? Oh, here it is. Okay. Thank you, Tamara. Okay. This is the Misty, Beth. And I have... Normally there's a foam in here, but I have this rubbery sticky mat, okay? That's inside. And it's what holds my card down so I don't have to use the magnets. I don't know where my foam mat is, so I'm going to kind of do this pretending that's the black foam mat in there. My magnets that came with it look like this. They were long, flat magnets. You probably have those too. I just put washi tape around mine so I could pick them up because I was struggling with picking them up before. So when I stamp something, I always line it in a corner where it sits comfortable, flush, and as much to the corner as I can get. And then I'll put my magnets or sticky mat or whatever. And then I'm just going to use this stamp that we were using tonight. And then what I do is I put the little stamp anywhere that I want it to be. But when I press this, I don't press this down. I just like tap it just enough to pick it up. Because if you press it on the top, it's going to pick up the paper. So I just barely tap it, and then I'll push it on there once I get it on there where I want it to be. And then when you put the ink on it, I'm just going to use this red ink for now, for the heck of it, because it's what's on my desk. So you stamp it up like that, and then you take it and you lay it down. Okay? Now, if you press with your hand, you're going to get uneven pressure all over. So some might stamp more than others. Some might look a little blurry if you're rocking it. So just find yourself some kind of tool similar to this, unless you have one of these. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But if you have any kind of press tool, you'll just run that press tool over it. Mine's not going to work that well because it's got the magnet in there, I think. It's too thick. But anyway, I'm not pressing hard. I'm just rubbing it over top of this. And then when you lift it up, it just leaves the picture there. But let's say, for example, it accidentally picked up the paper and now you want to stamp it again. That's the reason that I have it all the way in the corner. I should be able to put it exactly back in the corner where I had it the first time. And I should be able to ink it up again. And I'm going to put a lot of ink this time because I want you to really be able to see that it's stamped a second time on top of there. This should line up exactly where it lined up before. And see how it's off just a little? Means I didn't put it back in exactly the right place. That is unfortunate. Let me see if I'm off just a little. Oh yeah, I wasn't down all the way. But you should be able to put it back on there and do it exactly again. If this is what's happening to you, we need to make sure that your paper doesn't shift. Because I don't always stamp in the corner. Let's just say, for example, maybe what you could do instead of using the magnets, I hate the magnets. It always lifted up on me. So I bought the sticky mat and it works way better for me. So what I mean by sticky mat is this mat, the paper sticks and I don't need a magnet, see? So when I stamp on there, I just run this over it. If I want to stamp a second time, I do it now. It never moved the paper. And when I lift this up and I lay it on there and I rub it again and I lift it up, it's just a little bit thicker, but it's in exactly perfectly. But if you move the paper and you have to put it back, it should line up perfectly, but it doesn't always. And that's where the struggle comes in. And that's why I got rid of the magnets and the... Now, if I have a rubber stamp, this works great on photopolymer. But if I have a rubber stamp, I can't use this in it because it's too thick. You have to take this out. And then I have to use the magnets again if I have a rubber stamp.
Susie says she went for the new Alta-New stamp wheel instead of the Misty.
Yeah, I have one of those. I've never used it because typically everything I need fits in either this Misty or the bigger Misty that I have. So I have like the whatever is 9x6, 8.5 by 11, whatever it is. I'm not sure of the exact size.
Easier for you to travel with too.
But this is my travel size. It's the little one. The other one that I have, where is it? It's usually right here. Did you use it for something, Dale?
No.
I don't know where the other one is. It's always in the same place, and I haven't used it, so I'm not really sure what happened to it. I'll have to find it, but it's way bigger than this one. It's not the 12x12, but it's bigger than this one. And
what's the grid paper for?
What's the grid paper for? Okay, I never use it, but it's supposed to help you line up your stamps. So see how the grid is on the top?
Well, you should lay out sentiments.
So if you're doing sentiments, the grid helps you line up the grids. so you can get your sentiment straight, but I'm an eyeballer, so I don't really use it. But I know there are a lot of people that do. And even if you see someone else using it, they may be able to tell you better, but I use the grid on the top screen when I'm doing a sentiment, and I'll just line up the bottom of my sentiment with that line. So right there. Let's see. Let me put this paper under here. See, I can put my paper anywhere I want as long as, see, because it's sticky. So I just line up the bottom of my sentiment on one of these lines where I want it. And then when I put the ink on it, I mean, I never used it. I think they use it for some purpose like this, but I just never used it. And then your sentiment is straight. So if you're stamping on something, it'll stay straight. But this is the same thing. If it doesn't stamp right, you can go over it and do it again. You can do it again and again as many times as you want. So that's why I was having such a problem at the beginning of the video with my Memento ink, because it was like gushing it out and it was looking terrible. But it's the ink pad. It's the way the refill went on the ink pad for some reason. And I'll show you, because I'll do that same flower in black. And I'll show you. So just put it on there and just tap it to pick it up. Okay? Don't press. Just tap it. But when I put this ink on here, and you guys know I've used Memento for a long time, but for some reason, it looks really yucky. It's like fuzzy and splotchy. If you look really close at the edges, it's just not a crisp, clean look. And it's because once I add ink to this, it just doesn't behave the same. I hate it. It makes me so sad. So anyway, I'm going to try some other inks and I'll let you guys know what I think. But I feel like this came out with much crisper lines. Like, probably would have been even better if I hadn't stamped it twice. But much more crisp lines than these. Like, look at all that fuzzy, inconsistent. It just really irritates me. I hate, every time I refill one, I say I'm never doing that again, and then I do it again, and then I hate the ink pad and I buy a new ink pad. So I don't know why I keep doing that to myself. Maybe someday I'll figure it out. Those sticky mats are a godsend. I got mine at Waffle Flower, but I think you can pretty much get them anywhere. I have one in my large Misty. I have one in my small Misty. They're a little bit pricey. I mean, you would not expect them to be, but I think they're like $20-30, which seems like a lot. But they are so, I mean, it is so, I have loved it. I've paid $30 for a stamp set I never used, but I use this all the time. So it's worth it to me. In fact, the other day my husband was like, I think you might have to get a new one, because he's tired of cleaning it. But I also use a really big, like 12x12 one, or 9x9, or 6x6, or whatever it is for my stenciling. It's the same kind of sticky mat. I just use it for stenciling. So it's the same stuff. It's really great. So if you have any more questions, or if it isn't stamping out the way you want or whatever, I'm happy to do like a FaceTime, or I'm happy to talk to you on Messenger, or, you know, see pics and help you walk through it. So let me know if you need any more help. I don't mind at all. I think you can get those mats all over the place. So just look for a double-sided sticky mat. That should help you. Anyway, that's all I got, unless you guys have any more questions. Hopefully that was helpful. This is what happens when your paper shifts. So does your stamp. So at least you know it's not the stamps. That's good to know, huh? get a good sticky mat for better results. Yep. Good sticky mat. I love this sticky mat. I'm sold on it. But, you know, some things work for some people and don't work for others. But I think the sticky mat's the way to go. So maybe it works for people to just use their magnets. I see a lot of people on YouTube using their magnets. But for me, I just love this sticky mat. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Let me know if you ever have any questions. I'm more than happy to stay and help. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have fun. Good night.